Gaitis, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited about having you here because we are going to talk about AI in regulated industries. And you are the person who has lots of experience in this area, right? You've been working as a technology leader for 20 years. You've been working as a chief information officer. So you know a lot about all of this. And we are going to so explain it in a kind of easier language for the audience as well. So why don't we start first with you getting into this industry? You specialize in biotech, so why biotech? What was it like, and why do you find it exciting?
Sure. Hi, Michal. Yeah, first of all, absolutely excited also being here. I have heard quite a lot of your podcasts, so I'm happy also participating in one of these. Yeah, I had been in IT already since long time as I'm coming from Latvia. At that time, I started actually already with 18, 19, already a software engineer, but as IT leader, I'm already for 20 years in industry, as you rightly noticed. Actually, I started as a founder. I founded my own software company. I was writing software and selling software for hotels, restaurants, but also for dental practices, which was my kind of a first glimpse into regulated industry. And I was quite shocked with all what I saw there. And it was not at the end very successful as as a young guy trying to then go and sell something to all the dental practices. But it was an interesting experience. And after that, I jumped into a more product-based company, Amadeus, which was doing the hotel software. So it was exact match with what I was I was doing as a founder. And after 5 years being there, I somewhat by accident actually went into the biotech. It was kind of I was looking for people. I was looking for programmers actually, and I was checking what's around here. I'm living in a small town here in next to Munich. And I thought, only some shops are here, some malls and stuff. And then I saw a job opening on head of IT solutions for the genomics. So I was wow, okay, genomics in a small town. So I started exploring what is it about, and well, 9 interviews later, I was part of a genomics company at that time
Yeah.
as head of IT applications, so responsible for software development, which is my kind of um, also favorite topic. And yeah, after I started there, somewhat I stayed already in Eurofins for more than 12 years, and every year is more and more exciting, learning new stuff, navigating from genomics to the clinical diagnostics and forensics. Yeah, it has been quite exciting.
Awesome. It's interesting how you say 9 interviews later. So that was quite a tough process, wasn't it?
That was incredible. I was like after the third interview, I felt like no, it's it's enough. But then very nicely they called and said, hey, there is another guy coming in from the US. He's very interested in talking to you, and yeah, how should I say no, right?
Yeah.
And one after one after another, and still I survived. I met extremely interesting people also in the interview process. So it was um, also not just a burden for me, but I met a lot of interesting people. It's
Mm.
on itself the process is interesting. That's why I didn't give up, and I'm happy I didn't.
Wonderful. Cool. So coming back to the AI, as I mentioned during the intro, you've been working in this industry for quite a lot of years. So where is this actually heading now? If we think about AI in regulated industries, is it already being implemented? Is it still kind of being observed from the distance? What is your take on this?
Well, now we start and jump into a really strategic topic, but it's a good question. I think it's somewhat still on separate flows. One flow is old school kind of AI with image processing, with identifying on the image, the cancer cells, or doing analysis, diagnostics with AI, massive models, extremely complex models. Second part is manufacturing, which is not specific for regulated industries. It's just manufacturing, right? And in manufacturing, you have all these cases with predictive maintenance and identifying the bottlenecks in the flow and all of that. And recently, on top of that comes the kind of LLM part of it, and chatbots and customer care teams and all of that. So at the moment when we speak about the future, I think it's more about transforming the business models and merging from these individual use cases into the AI strategy, which would really give the company a distinctive advantage in the market.
And speaking of use cases, there is one project that you mentioned before we kicked off the podcast recording, one project that you are especially proud of. So would you like to tell us more about it?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, AI itself, I touched before. Also, it was more on this predictive maintenance and this heavy model. So it was kind of ongoing little bit topic. But then it was 2019. And as you remember, end of 2019, suddenly news came in with the COVID. Yes. So on our side also, the first reaction was kind of okay, let's analyze the risk, what and how we need to manage now our suppliers. What do we do with stock? How do we sell if we cannot visit the customers and so on? But then when we looked from the opportunity also perspective and identified that actually we can do the testing as we were specialized. One of our business lines was specialized on qPCR testing. If you remember, there was always a big thing about the PCR tests. It's about what we are doing. At that time, we could do 100 tests a day, and at that time it sounded like a decent volume also, right? Now, if I look at it and just raise expectation for the listeners also, we ended up Eurofins wide at 300,000 tests per day. Okay,
Wow,
so
wow.
it's
That's huge.
it
From
is
100
it
to
is
300,000. Wow.
so yeah, so it was a growth in the 2 years from few hundred to 300,000, which was incredible. So on one side, of course, it was lab, but on other side, it was also the digital part of it. And I still remember it was in a very early stage, in like second, third week of that effort, where we were discussing, hey, we should actually improve our Excel data handling. Let's put it on the SharePoint. That will be improvement, right?
Wow.
And then I I stood up and said, hey, no, let's create from the beginning in the right way. Let's do it in the right way. Let's create the systems. Yeah, but the IT is always slow, and it always takes months and months to just add another input box or another report. You know how it goes sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, myself and my team, we stood up. We said, no, in after 7 days, you will have a fully functional system for the lab, and that's what we did. After 7 days, we had the first fully functional system in the lab, and from there it was crazy times with like 3 to 5 deployments per day. And at that time, I was in the morning, I was doing IT. In the afternoon, I went to the lab. So I was helping also pipetting and doing the lab stuff, and I could experience also firsthand the impact from our software, right? every single bug which which was there, it hit me right into the face. Right? I see the user struggling with that, but it also helped me really understand how it works. And we were improving and improving and doing all of that, but we hit also bottlenecks, right? And one of the bottlenecks was the human factor, as it requires highly educated expert reporters who can understand the output of that PCR machine and tell if it is the COVID or it's not a COVID, right? It's actually it's more of a binary question. At some cutoff point, you just say yes or no, right? And every of these images for the human being, a trained one will take few minutes for a negative case, but for positive case and is not so clear, it can take 10 minutes, 15 minutes. As you can imagine, you cannot process at that speed 300,000 tests per day, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we then looked at what do we do. And we tried also to also discuss with the suppliers of the machines, hey, let's do something, but as they were not on the same speed journey as as we, so we decided again ourselves, let's do it ourselves. So we grabbed the Python and we started programming the first AI models for identifying the positive and negative cases. And now, now it's called human in the loop. At that time, we also included immediately also human in the loop, because for the obvious reason, the AI can sort out very quickly all the negatives. It can sort out clearly all the real positives, but then there is the cases in between, right? The cases where then we still need the human. So this was our human in the loop. But then the human being has to check like 5% of cases and not all of them. A second extremely interesting case was also contamination check. It sounds technical, but it's just if you imagine a lot of tests are put on a single plate, kind of a lot of tests, small tests are in the plate, and at the moment when robot comes on it, sometimes it can spill the liquid, right? And because of that, the tests which should be negative are coming as positive. And for that, we again then applied some thinking. Then we built statistical models, and then we jumped into the deep learning and some nice image processing. And again, we could achieve immense speed improvement because as we can automatically identify those cases, rate of redoing is going down, and because of that, we can process again more cases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's all technical. But if I remember back, it was like every day was exciting and made it proud. And we were doing really also cool stuff. For example, we were doing Formula One testing. And imagine for Formula One, it's all these pilots and technical personnel and everyone coming there, and then they are taking the test and they need the result until next day, otherwise they cannot start the race. And as you can imagine how F1 is working, it's huge money for them. It's incredible how expensive all of that is. So what do? Yeah, they get a private jet and a helicopter to get us the tests quickly, and then we work over the night and we get the result next morning, right?
Wow.
Yeah, or a similar one, MotoGP. Again, on the bikes, racing again, the bike racing, or the cruise ships. Imagine the big, huge cruise ships. At the beginning of COVID, there was all this story about, hey, the people are stuck on the cruise ship, so they were
I remember.
extremely cautious on that side. So we created the new systems with another company with external supplier for us and a good friend of mine. So we have created then together also a system again and for treating these cruise ships. So it was really amazing experience there. when I remember back, it's like a year and a half of intense development in software and AI has brought me a lot of gray hair, but also also extreme experience. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, these were very interesting examples, and also a throwback to the good old days when it comes to COVID.
Well,
It's good that it's gone. You
yeah.
know, so very interesting. And now some people who are listening to this or watching you, they are probably thinking, oh wow, that's so cool. Now AI is also being applied across the board in these regulated industries. So is it really the case? Are there any specifics, or what are the limitations if you compare it with some other industries where there is no regulation?
Well, if we speak about the regulations in general, yeah, and the regulated industry as biotech, for example, it's um, it's two sides of it. The first side is the service itself, as the testing in the lab and the compliance of that service. It's about processing in the lab, processing the samples, moving around the samples. The compliance is complex, but it doesn't need any software. Actually, you can do also the lab operations on the paper. It's not like you need all the complex software and everything. No, you don't need. It's more about the information flow, making sure that information is not changing in between. That the trainings are done and documented and sign off and for I principle and all of that. Now, at the moment when we want to improve our manual process, right, then the software comes in game. And for software, again, it's a separate regulation. It is supporting a regulated process, and because of that, it has to also comply with all of that. But on top, it gets also additional compliance. Regulations, and with that, what also you can see is that a lot of companies are stuck with digitalization. Yeah, they are. It's not even the question about AI, and for the AI, as you can imagine, the starting point is data, right? You need the data in a digital format. Of course, you could argue that you could digitalize something, right, from the paper, but it's more complicated. And that's what I see. It's not about complication of applying the AI itself. It's more the complication of being digital at first place, right? Okay, the big pharma, they can afford, but it's also it's not throughout the process.
Okay. And are there any regulations specific to the European market or the US market? Is there anything like this at all?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, we have. As soon you are working in the lab with the human samples, you are under very strict regulation. It's called good practices, and a set of them are available: good manufacturing practice, good laboratory practice, all of that, and it's regulated. The same way, also in US, FDA is regulating that, right? And then at the end of COVID, also IVDR appeared, which sounds complicated, but it's more about software as a medical device. Yeah. So as soon you are using software for any process which can impact a health outcome, it's seen as a medical device, basically, right? So it undergoes a similar regulation as an X-ray machine, which is used for X-ray, right? So it's complicated. But interestingly, what I saw already, it was in 2020, I think, that FDA actually was really fast, and they have brought out not a strict regulation, but a set of guidance. How do we apply AI in the regulated industries? And it was super interesting and forward thinking. And I think it's if you applied these guidelines long ago. At that time, you are also cool with a UII Act, with GAM5, CSV, and all the other acronyms which are which are running around here.
Wonderful. Well, it's good that there was something at the beginning, and then it is overarching across the board. Wonderful, cool. And I'm kind of still thinking about the scale that you were able to reach with these 300,000 tests being evaluated every day. If we look at it from another angle, not the AI side of things, but rather the scalability or the infrastructure or the team management, are there any interesting takeaways that you would like to share with fellow CTOs and everyone watching us? Like some takeaways regarding how is it even possible in such a short time frame in such a regulated industry with probably a team that was working remotely back then to achieve this result?
Right, right. Well, at the end of the process, maybe I first explain a little bit how it worked at the end with the 300,000 tests, right? So we had a team of hundreds of people, which consisted not only from internal teams but also a lot of external consultants, freelancers, other Eurofins group IT teams, but also external partners and even customer teams. And it's really about a multifunctional team. At the moment when you have to get so many customers at the same time on board, you need to think also about the topics like customer support or onboarding teams or customer success teams, however you call. But if I look at the rolling out of our software, our models, and all of that, the key was really in standardizing. Right? It's not about, no, you cannot choose in which color you get the report. No, you cannot choose which kind of sample you will send in. If you want a process at scale, you will follow exactly what is a standard. And it works like SAP also works, right? If you are following the standard, it works like a magic. As soon you go into customizing and no, but I want my process, that will get hell expensive and slow, right? Yeah, and a lesson for me was also that if okay, it's interesting. Is it a lesson? Well, if I would have imagined the scale where we want to go, if we would agree that, hey, this is actually our vision, at that moment, I would have started much before, also onboarding more people and more teams and doing the trainings. So as a summary, I think it's the massive scale is first about the good processes, very good team, and which is the third factor for me is customer closeness. I was so close with my customers. Like at the beginning, I was working myself in the lab, that I really understood what is a customer challenge, what we are trying to solve. These three take, and the rest, the technical voodoo is nice. Of course, you need the cloud first and automation and test automation and documentation automation and all of that. But it's kind of obvious, right? Of course, you need it.
Yeah, yeah. So when you had only those 100 tests per day, I guess the team was very small, right? And then a few years later, you had this department of what, 500 people or external consultants, including as well?
All together, if we are counting all together, including the customer IT teams, which were also working as part of our team, yeah,
Yeah.
easily.
Oh, that's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. Like how can you scale such a big department in such a short time frame? Were there any interesting takeaways when it comes to what team members to prioritize based on the role or seniority, or kind of is there anything that you would like to do differently if you were given a second chance to do the same?
Yeah, actually, it worked really, really well. I had also a few advantages. The first one was that genomics had at that time already an IT team of like 100 people. So I could quickly rededicate all the resources. It was a strategic decision. Let's forget everything else. Everything else doesn't matter, right? It's only this one vision, one thing which matters. Let's do that. Let's put
Wow.
everything else on hold. Let's do this one right. And then this second, what I had, it was network. I knew quite few people in India, also where I could then quickly reach out and scale it up. And the third component is, which I see again and again as really working, is a set of smaller teams rather than one huge team.
Mhm.
You make one smaller team, you give a clear task responsibility, you trust the team, you explain uh, and let them engage with the business, let them also really truly understand what they are doing and why they are doing, and you don't need to even manage them afterwards. Yes, of course, you need the thinking, you need to catch up and have overall strategy and direction. But other than that, uh, it's autonomous teams, and because of that, it's infinite scaling.
Mm.
Can keep adding on the teams as much as you wish, as long you have this um, a set of trust, of trusting each other and understanding the overall business goal.
Wow, wow. So after this experience, what would you say is the next big thing for you? I mean, can this get even more exciting? I mean, to go from 0 to 500 people in a department, within such a short time frame, like what's the next big thing? Or
Yeah.
probably you would like to be on the other side of things and rather kind of slow down because the pace was too crazy and you can do this only once in a lifetime.
Well, uh, that's a good question. Now
That's a
you
tough one,
actually,
right?
but yeah. So what I experienced after COVID, it was more like said by, hey, what now, right? Now it's kind of quiet and yes, we have to clean up. Imagine we stopped everything else. We put everything on
Mm,
hold. We just were doing this one. There was huge technical debt, the things breaking all around
mm,
the place for a normal business. So we had to clean it up. But then it was again exciting. I got another responsibility for the forensics, which is the criminal justice. It's like CSI stuff. Truly amazing, incredible things what we are doing there. So it's very interesting learning. And for me, IT, okay, IT is interesting topic. Yes, it's exciting on technology side and all of that, but I'm really excited and motivated by the business side of the things, about the why. Not so much about, okay, is it now Google Cloud or Amazon Cloud or whatever, right? IT is changing all the time. Yes, you have to learn new things, but that's about it, right?
mm,
And just recently, I got then also clinical diagnostics. In between, I had an amazing experience of building and scaling a new IT service center uh, in Riga, in Latvia, from where I'm coming from. I could try out really everything what I thought how IT should work, and it worked uh, really amazingly. And looking forward, what I see is that while I said IT is kind of boring and nothing special, I think that now we are entering into the um, a time where IT and business will be merged, and it will experience incredible shift with advances of AI. There,
mm,
IT will have to be the part of business. The business which is not building the business models with AI first. After 10 years, they are out.
mm. Indeed. Yeah. I mean, that's deep, really. If you think about where AI is getting, it's pretty much every software as a service tool I open these days. There is some new AI feature. You
Yeah,
cannot really escape it,
exactly.
right? So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of time when also all these other businesses, even regulated ones, will implement it into some extent.
Yeah, and especially if we are thinking then about agentic systems, also with the built-in quality controls and access to exact data, right?
Mm.
Well, it's all of that is exactly what is required for the regulated industry. So I don't see the technical challenge. It will be really a challenge only on the business side. But
Yeah.
then again, it's a risk for the big companies because they have these legacy systems, legacy processes. The new startups will come into the space and will disrupt it.
Mm. Yeah.
And especially if we look, US is doing kind of interesting thing with revoking the parts of regulations completely. It can disrupt the market,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Awesome. And you also mentioned security somewhere along the lines.
Yeah.
So is this something you are also passionate about, something that you put more emphasis on these days?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, okay, of course, as I'm in the regulated industry, I cannot do the in any other way. But even at the COVID times, also from the customer side, even was the voice there that, hey, let's just make it happen. We don't care so much about the security. Let's just make it happen. But we said no. What we do, we build the security in, and that's, I think, the only way how you can make security instead of being a disturbance and slow down. It's helping you. And at that moment, once you start building security in, then even external audits are kind of okay. It's interesting. The guys are dropping by. They are checking what you are doing, and then I just leave, and that's it,
Mhm.
right? Um, and security, of course, now in the new era of AI, it will become really a huge topic, not just for the industry, but for overall society, for the politics, for national
Mhm.
security. And it's huge. It's huge. But also, I'm happy also seeing on the other side how AI is applied also for making us more secure.
Yeah. Yeah. And on this note, what gets you excited if you think about all these new innovations? There is AI, obviously, you mentioned LLMs. Now we are talking about security. So there is a lot that is happening across the board. What gets you excited most?
I'm most excited by the business actually.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to say that, but yeah, it's more about the business. And also when at the moment when I look at the AI, I think about how it can change the business models.
Mm.
AI itself is exciting. Okay, I'm coming also from more mathematical background, so I do even understand partially how it works. Not fully, have to admit, especially the newer ones, but at least I somewhat understand. And yes, it's exciting, but it's not as exciting as understanding what it can do for the business, right? And
Mm.
how it can change our lives and how it can change the business models.
Mm. So would you say that also the role of the CTO or a CIO evolves now as this shift happens?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm happy to see also that uh, a role of CAIO has not established. I was a bit worried that it will become kind of like a niche topic for the crazy IT guys to sit there and do AI strategy alone, right? So now I think the CIO role has to understand the AI. Of course, it's prerequisite. Have a deep understanding so that you can be the part of strategic business management as well. Sit with other C-suite members and discuss how we can change our business model, how we can use AI, use the technology to disrupt and to improve the outcome which we have, right?
Mm.
And yeah, I think that's what I see. But also interestingly, okay, now I said as if it's only about the exciting, a very important part of it is also who will pay for it, right?
Mm.
You know, and because of that, I think it's more of also understanding how to save and optimize the costs, right? You because the companies also have invested heavily in the previous years already in AI and got next to zero outcome from that.
Mm.
Now you want to again invest, but from where? Right. Also, the economy is somewhat in uncertain times. You don't know what will happen with Ukraine, with China, with trade wars, with all of that. Now investing again on top, only few companies can do that. Right. So
Yeah.
CIO role has to also understand how to save also some money, not just about future and exciting the business models.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's a good one. And then on the other side, what are you worried about? There are some people who are scared of AI taking over things, or developers losing their jobs because AI is coding instead of them. Do you see this happening if you look at your departments, or not really? What are you worried about?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a real worry. It's not just about the software developers. It's across board. The AI can take away a lot of intelligent work, but routine work, right? Okay, some will say that, hey, it's in IT example, yeah, you can see AI Copilot and stuff as a junior developer, and some companies already say, hey, actually, also medium level developer we don't need
Mhm.
anymore, only seniors we need. And then it's the worry, of course. Okay, if we get rid of all the juniors after after 5 years,
Mhm.
where are the seniors, right?
Mhm.
And second related worry on that front for me is that after 3 months of development with AI, you will have no clue about your code, why it works. Yes, you can ask AI, please explain me how my code works, but it's kind
Mhm.
of scary, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That I base my whole business on systems which I don't even understand. Is it bad or is it okay? I don't know yet. Actually,
Mhm.
no, it's okay. It works as a black box. I don't know how it works. Somehow it works,
Yeah.
and I can develop it. Well, is it good enough? No, no. And of course the higher level risks, all of that, like these agentic systems having some goal, not always a good goal, but it can be also a malicious goal, and you don't know what they can use to do, and all that. Of course, this risk is and will be there. And yes, we also will have to develop. On the other side, on security side, but I see also exciting startups going up there using AI in exciting ways and managing that. I think it has been always endless fight between the good and bad. It will never end, and then at some moment quantum computing will come in game, and it will again take another twist. But I think it's endless. I'm
Mhm.
worried really about the impact on the workforce from the perspective that we uh, are not refilling our
Mhm.
know-how, our skills, uh, and secondly, that we will not understand the systems, how they are working, systems and the processes, right? If you think about the
Mhm.
agents, you will not even know how your invoice processing, right? You will not
Mhm.
understand how your invoice processing is working.
Mhm.
Somehow invoices are sent out. Are all invoices sent out? Are these the right invoices sent out? If invoice is missing, what should I do? I don't know. I will ask AI, right?
Mhm.
No
That's
idea.
that's a very good question, and it just reminds me two things. The first one is a quick question. So, given what you mentioned about the juniors, do you still hire juniors? Have you hired any junior in the last 2 3 months?
Yes, and we are onboarding also freshers. I love actually onboarding from the universities. I like the people which are coming out there. They are motivated, eager to learn, and quick learners. And what I heard in one of discussion was interesting thing that we as older generation, and I count myself as older generation already, right? We had been incentivized by doing things right. Okay, we know how to do, we acquire the skill, and then we do the things better and better and better with more and more experience, right? And now the young generation who are growing up with AI, they will not be good at doing the same task better and better with experience, but they will learn how to manage already from the school. They will be managers. They will be managing the AI agents. I will be managing the very extremely complex systems just for the simplest also tasks. And if you look from this perspective, then again, yes, you are taking up the juniors. They are learning how to manage these systems, and they become more and more seniors. Is it worse? Are we as older generation somehow better because we know how exactly the AI works? Well, again, I don't know. There are questions where answers I think we will figure out only later.
Well, this is a really thought-provoking answer, because now I'm thinking, okay, so you are probably not hiring junior developers, but these junior managers essentially, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty interesting.
yeah.
Awesome. And the second follow-up question to what you mentioned regarding the code that is being produced and a developer may not even understand how it works is, what happens if this code is being produced by DeepSeek, for example, right? Which kind of is a Chinese product, right? And who knows what is going on under the hood, or at which point something will change on the
Mhm.
backend side. So how do you see this risk and evaluate?
Well, I want to trust my tools and my teams, right? And in this perspective, the DeepSeek, I would not use myself. Okay, it's my opinion. Yes, uh, it's said that, hey, it's open source. Actually, it's not open source, right? It's only open weight. Well, okay. And even if it is open source, am I able to understand that source code of ChatGPT? Never ever. I will not be able to understand why is it actually giving me one or another case, right? But what I see is that, okay, there is a race. The US is going all in deregulating. Hey, let's not care about the compliance. Hey, let's throw another 500 billion on the problem. And China is doing in similar way, right? And EU is there and creating EU AI Act, and a lot of people are like, hey, we have to immediately cancel. We have to jump also on this race. Let's cancel all the regulation. But I think after some time, and if we look at the midterm and long term, we will be the winners, because the software which is created inside the EU, which is complying with the EU AI Act, is a trustable, right? And if you as a company, you are relying on those tools, especially in the regulated industry, are you going for software which has been created without any regulation, just with another 100 billion? Why would you care about their profit? I care about my business. I want to trust, right? And I think that actually US is making a mistake and giving advantage for the EU. This opinion maybe is not a popular opinion nowadays, but it's more about, hey, let's cancel everything, let's go ahead and do stuff. But I think it's very important that we also keep our integrity, and not only in politics, but also privately, at work, everywhere. Have to maintain your integrity and keep things which you trust into.
Yeah, that's so true, so true. All right, well, there is a lot of interesting insights that you have shared, and I could keep asking for the next 1 or 2 hours, but also I want to be mindful of your time, and at some point we need to wrap it up. So, is there any final last takeaway that you would like to share with the audience? Something that you have learned that you haven't mentioned just yet, and it's somewhere in the back of your mind, and you think like, oh gosh, like I really want to, everyone to know about this.
Yeah. Well, I could just repeat that you should look and try to understand the business, understand the business problem, and then don't also be afraid and go in small iterations. Go in small iterations. That way, you will be fast. You will understand what you are doing,
Mm,
and you will be able to either scale or achieve any other of your goals. That's
wonderful.
that's my ultimate learning from that.
Mm, great one. Thanks for sharing. And if anyone would like to connect with you, where they can find more information about you.
Yeah, absolutely. On the LinkedIn, I'm all there, and also lately I'm trying to share a little bit more of my insights, as I think has been an interesting experience, and I have enjoyed also reading and listening about other people' experience. So I thought, hey, I can share also. So again, if you have any question or idea or want to jump on a discussion, why not?
Mhm. Awesome. So I'll share the LinkedIn
Yeah.
URL in the comments. Wonderful. Great. Well, then thanks for sharing. It was very nice talking to you. So yeah, I hope to see you soon
Absolutely.
again.
I can't believe how time has passed by.
Exactly, right.
It was
It's
very,
been
very interesting
almost an
talking to you.
hour.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Cool. Thank you. See you
Thank
soon.
you very much. See
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.